the best of Stevie Wonder, Stephen Morris. All 3 hours of our program today. He's the GOAT. Turn it up, Miles. Turn it up. Turn it up. If you can't celebrate Juneteenth with Stevie Wonder, who can you celebrate it with? It's Tavis, Smiley, and Stevie Wonder. We've been playing the best of Stevie all 3 hours today because, one, it is Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. But also because June is Black Music Month, and you know how we do it around here. We choose a different artist every day. And we tap into their catalog and play some of the best of their hits. All 3 hours of our conversation. So many hits, so little time. You cannot do justice to the corpus of Stevie Wonder in a 3-hour show. If I were playing nothing but his music, you can't do it in 3 hours. So we celebrate June is Black Music Month, and we celebrate today the music. The rich musical legacy of one Stephen Morris, better known as Stevie Wonder. In this hour, as promised on Juneteenth, it's a Juneteenth Roundtable. I am always delighted when I get a chance to just hang out with my colleagues here at my home station. And this program is syndicated, heard in markets all across the station, across the nation, I should say. The station is heard across the nation. This program is. And so I'm grateful for that. But I am humbled that today also happens to be not just Juneteenth, but 4 years ago on this day, we launched KBLA Talk 1580, my home station in L.A. And so today is the 4th anniversary of this station. I figured if it's going to be a Black-owned, operated talk station, we ought to launch it on a day that has meaning and purpose and value. So we launched on Juneteenth 2021. And so every year we celebrate the anniversary of this station in L.A., at least on Juneteenth. And so we are just 4 years in. I'm thinking about my friends in Philadelphia who are 20-plus years in Chicago. WVON, the voice of the Negro, they had 60 years in plus. We just 4 years in, but we're holding up the bloodstained banner out here on the West Coast in Los Angeles. And so I'm grateful to all those persons who've supported this platform, not just in L.A., but you and you and you and you all around the country, all around the world. But it's always a special joy for me to be joined by my colleagues here in conversation. And so in this hour, I am pleased to welcome to the microphone our friend and brother, Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, host of his own program on KBLA, A More Perfect Union, author and professor, and my White House correspondent for this program. Dr. Quartey, happy Juneteenth. How are you today, sir?
Happy Juneteenth, Tavis. Also, happy anniversary. Wouldn't want to be with anybody else in the foxhole but you.
I appreciate you. Adrianne Shropshire is the founder of the Black Pack, also a colleague with her own program here on my home station. Happy Juneteenth to you, Adrianne.
Happy Juneteenth. Happy anniversary. So glad to be here with you today.
Glad to have you. And in studio, my friend Jesse Jackson Jr., former congressman, has his own program here as well, and he is in L.A. As a matter of fact, before I bring him on the microphone, if I get one more text message, Jesse, you got me in some mess, man. So last night, let me just tell this quick story, and then we'll jump ahead and talk about Juneteenth and all the other issues that Negroes are dealing with in real time in America. So last night, we had a recording for C-SPAN. I mentioned earlier, C-SPAN tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. We had a conversation last night with an all-star panel. As I've done many years on C-SPAN. Last night was about climate justice and black health, and everybody was there. Karen Bass was there. Cornel West was there. Justin J. Pearson out of Tennessee was there. Ben Jealous was there. All these experts in health were there. We had an amazing conversation last night talking in real time around Juneteenth about what I call the urgency of now. Climate justice, climate equity, and climate resilience. So on the way to the facility, I happened to have Jesse Jackson Jr. And Cornel West in the car with me. They were in the building. I said, y'all just ride with me, and we'll head to the venue and get ready to go live on C-SPAN. I looked down and said, oh, Lord Jesus, I'm out of gas. And I said, it would be tragic for them to see Jesse Jackson Jr. and Cornel West and Tavis Smiley pushing a car down Crenshaw. So I pulled into the gas station to get some gas. And out the car jumps Jesse. Out the car jumps Dr. West. Everybody's fighting, trying to be nice, to get the cap off the gas tank, to pump the gas. And then all these Negroes up and down Crenshaw see Jesse Jackson Jr. and Cornel West and Tabby Smiley, 3 Negroes trying to pump gas in a car. And so it becomes a whole scene at the gas station last night because everybody on Crenshaw stopped, ran to that gas station because there we were trying to pump gas in my car. So if you go to Jesse, is it your Facebook page?
Yes, sir, it is.
How do people find that right quick?
Jesse Jackson Jr. on Facebook.
There you go. Go to Jesse Jackson Jr. on Facebook. So Jesse and Gina, who was in the car with us, are taking pictures and video of this moment, and it's just insane. But my phone's been blowing up all day. Man, I saw that gas station incident with you and Jesse and Dr. West. So if you want a good laugh today on Juneteenth, just go to Jesse's Facebook page and have a good laugh at my expense. This is why, see, with friends like you, I don't need enemies. I'm just trying to get some gas, and these Negroes are filming us and taking pictures, and it was a moment last night. So anyway, Jesse Jackson Jr. is in studio. How are you, sir?
Tavis, it's great to be here. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary and happy Juneteenth to you. All right, so that's that. When we come forward for the rest of the hour, I got a whole lot of questions, and if anybody has the answers, it's Adrianne and Jesse and Nii-Quartelai. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I just called to say I love you. I just called to say
interrogating and unpacking.
That's what we do around here.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
I've had the honor over the course of my career to interview just about anybody and everybody in the music business. You name it, I've been blessed to talk to most all of them. And I've never talked to a single artist when I asked about their influences who does not name Stevie Wonder. Male, female, the genre doesn't matter. Everybody, or as we say in my neighborhood, everybody has been influenced by the music of Stevie Wonder. It's June, it's Black Music Month. Different artists every day on this program whose music we play, and today we're playing the best of Stevie Wonder. It's our Juneteenth Roundtable. Let's jump in. I got a whole lot to talk about with my colleagues in this hour. So, Jesse, let me start with you since you're in studio here. But secondly, because you are the constitutional scholar amongst the four of us in this conversation. So just briefly, constitutionally, lay out how we find ourselves at Juneteenth.
Well, Malcolm X says it best. We were here before Plymouth Rock. In fact, Plymouth Rock landed on us.
That's right.
Dr. King says when Jefferson wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, more specifically, July 4th, 1776, he said, we were here. And so that's 11 years before the Constitution of the United States on September 17th, 1787. So what we have here is an aspirational document called the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal. It has no force of law, but we have a constitution, September 17th, 1787, the beginning of the republic, that refers to African Americans as 3/5 of a human being. It refers to a process of property ownership that does not even speak to the rights of white Americans in that era. So by 1791, you end up with the Bill of Rights, right? The First Amendment, the right to freedom of assembly, the protests that are taking place across the country. People gather, churches, they need that particular part of the amendment. Freedom of religion, Islam, Christianity, Muslims, agnosticism, all of that protected by the First Amendment. The right to due processes and things like that through the First Amendment. And then this 10th Amendment, this final amendment insisted on by the slave states. That 10th Amendment, those rights not written in the Constitution of the United States, essentially explicitly, are reserved to the states. Most Southerners, slaveholders, used this amendment and argued that the federal government did not have the right to come into their states and tell individuals what to do with their property. And so states' rights protected the peculiar institution of slavery. And so on January 1st, 1863, when the Emancipation Proclamation in the middle of the Civil War comes to pass, and it's effectuated by Abraham Lincoln, he essentially frees slaves where he has no control, from Virginia around to Texas, but he keeps slavery in place politically where he does have control. He has control in Kentucky. He has control in Maryland. He has control in certain states and certain jurisdictions. Lest should we forget, the state of Virginia split between West Virginia and the state of Virginia. The West Virginian part of the state decided to stay in the Union. The state of Virginia decided to leave the Union. Robert E. Lee ended up leading the Northern Army of the Virginians. But the central issue here is the legal apparatus states' rights. Abraham Lincoln uses an executive order, frees them where he does not have control. He keeps them slavery in place where he does have control. And that effective date was January 1st, 1863. The people in the state of Texas, however, did not recognize that executive order. They refused to accept it, and African Americans in the state, when General Granger shows up from the Union Army on June 19th, 1865, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, he reads the order that the people of Texas are free. And the jubilation, the celebration, if you will, is the byproduct of that. Yeah. There's the great challenge, of course, with the holiday, and I'll conclude on this, is that there are many of us, including myself, that argue it should be a state holiday and not necessarily a federal holiday because the people of Texas are owed a tremendous reparation for being in slavery 2 years longer than the executive order required. The nationalization of the holiday, of course, has led to barbecues and festivals all across the country, but it doesn't take into account the very serious angle on history that this is a shameful blemish on our country, a shameful blemish on the idea of human liberty and freedom, because African Americans, again, from 1619 to that moment, still had 2 more years of nothing but free work, free labor, no human rights.
I am surrounded by black brilliance every day. And I get goosebumps sometimes just listening to my colleagues and my talent as they opine on all kinds of issues. But it just humbles me that I'm, again, surrounded by such black brilliance every single day. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, as I mentioned earlier, you are my White House correspondent. And there is a story I saw a couple of days ago at USA Today about whether or not Donald Trump will end Juneteenth as a federal holiday, given the point that Jesse made a moment ago. He's upending everything else when it comes to us. So I offer that as a backdrop because, again, you're my White House correspondent. But how are you processing Juneteenth this year in this administration, in this American moment? Nii-Quartelai Quartey.
Well, Tavis, I don't need to tell you, I don't need to tell Adrianne or Jesse that the stakes couldn't be higher when it comes to our fight for freedom. Today on Juneteenth, as we sort of do a look back and a look forward, hopefully we're all reminded of how fragile our freedoms are. One of those freedoms, one of those rights that Jesse so eloquently mentioned was our right to due process. And we know that, our free speech rights, freedom of the press is under attack, but as is due process. We don't want to live in a country where an individual, a president, can decide, who has a right to a jury of their peers versus that president being judge and jury. That is happening in no uncertain terms, not just in Los Angeles, but across the country. And so this today is a reminder that we as Black people, we have come a long way. And we have a lot to fight for. Sometimes I think this administration benefits from this sense of inevitability, that just because the president signed an executive order because that is what the president wants, then somehow we all must follow suit. That is not what we are about, what we should be about. And on this Juneteenth, I'm also reminded of the wisdom of Coretta Scott King, who reminded us that it is the job of every generation to fight for our civil and human rights, and that it is a fight worth having. There is so much at stake. The so-called Big Beautiful Bill is in the United States Senate being debated. There is a lot in that bill that will make a material difference in the lives of so many of our leaders, learners, and listeners. Whether we're talking about the $800–900 billion in cuts to Medicaid, when we're looking at the way they want to restructure federal student aid, when we're looking at so many other lifelines that are important to our community, Social Security. Don't be duped with where they stand on no tax on tips. That provision will go away in 2028. There's a lot of provisions that will go away in 2028 that to some people sound pretty appealing. And so today is a great day to reflect. It's also a great day to recommit. And, lastly, I'll say this. Being able to engage with one another, to engage with our audience on KBLA has been really a great honor, and to do it in the tradition of the Black press, where we understand that our job is to inform and to liberate. And kudos Tavis and the entire team for not falling back from that responsibility in a moment like this.
Nope, I appreciate that. As I said, surrounded by Black brilliance every day. Adrianne, these are the kinds of conversations I love to have with Jesse Jackson Jr., so we may have it off air. We could debate ad nauseum, ad infinitum about the distinct difference, to my mind at least, between being free and being liberated. Freedom and liberation aren't necessarily the same thing for me. I ain't got time to get into that right now. What does fascinate me, though, and I had some of this conversation earlier in today's program, about where we are on this path to freedom. What's abundantly clear to me is that we ain't really yet free. So to your mind, Adrianne, in this moment of Trump 2.0, where do you think we are in America as Black folk on this journey to freedom?
Yeah, it's a perilous road, I think.
Yeah.
That we continue to learn that reality over and over again. I really appreciate Jesse sort of grounding us in that history and in the Constitution, and to Dr. Nii for talking about how we are facing a moment where due process, something that's in we haven't always had, right? That is once again on the line, but I also think that we also see equal protection on the line as well, with the Supreme Court decision yesterday, was it, on trans kids being able to receive hormone therapies. So I feel like there is this, and I would love to hear Jesse's thoughts as well on this. Just when we think about the Reconstruction amendments, right, the things that got us, right, part way, right, got us to sort of the progress that we all enjoy or have enjoyed up until this point, but the sort of the real attempt to undermine the 14th Amendment, which holds so much of what we understand to be, our, justice that has come to us, or justice that we deserved, and sort of spelled that out in the Constitution for us. And so I think about when we see not just the sort of undermining of civil rights, right? And we can look at these things as individual things that have happened, or individual attacks that have happened over time. Not just under this administration, but obviously under others. The erosion of voting rights did not happen under Donald Trump, right? So when we think about the individual rights that there's clearly been an attack on, that are clearly being eroded, many of those just go back to those core Reconstruction amendments. And again, this sort of like every generation has to fight for it. And I think that we all in some ways understand that. It is hard for me, though, to grapple with the idea that we have to fight for some of the fundamental things that we thought were just done, that America had just agreed, that we had all agreed to, right? That we had a compact around some things, in part because those were ideals and rights that didn't just apply to Black folks, but really applied to everybody. And so there was, that there's some agreement that these things are just done. And I think it's one of the challenges that I think that many folks face. And we, maybe we'll talk a little bit about the sort of, people saying, this fight is our fight and that fight isn't our fight. And, we're not getting into that and that sort of thing that we're hearing right now. But the bottom line is that so much of what we have to fight for over and over again ties back to those kind of core amendments. And so therefore every fight is our fight. There is no way that we can pick and choose because it's also fundamental to our liberation.
Black brilliance abounds, and I'm honored to be at the epicenter of it for the rest of this hour. I will let Jesse Jackson Jr. take the bait that Adrianne put out there. I was sort of laughing when she said that. I would love to hear Jesse's point of view on this. I'm like, see, when you're a talk show host, you can't help it. I'm asking Adrianne questions, and she's telling me she want to hear what Jesse got to say about something. It's just you can't help it when you're a talk show host. It just so happens that I want to hear Jesse's take on that as well, and I want to hear more from Nii-Quartelai Quartey and Adrianne Shropshire, as I'm sure you do when we come forward celebrating Juneteenth on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with BIN News Now. In the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial, court is dark for the Juneteenth holiday, so the trial will resume on Friday when former Diddy personal assistant Brendan Paul is expected to take the stand. But many listening in the court and around the country want to see how all of the witnesses tie together to the charges of racketeering and sex trafficking.
But something prosecutors and the defense are going to need to do when it comes time for closing arguments is to really put the pieces together. We've heard from many different witnesses, and they've testified about many different aspects of the case.
The New York City Council wants answers about what's being done to reduce segregation in public schools. It passed a law 6 years ago requiring diversity improvements in each school district. A council committee grilled Department of Education officials on what's being accomplished. And the majority owners of the Los Angeles Lakers are selling. BIN News Now on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
Temecula Valley Balloon and Wine Music Festival by Events.com is happening June 20th through 22nd, featuring Walker Hayes, Cody Jinks, Alabama, Russell Dickerson, Midland, Big and Rich, and more. Get 3-day or single-day tickets now at TemeculaValleyFestival.com.
Cool off this summer at the Palm Springs Aerial Tramway. For just $85 for adults, $45 for kids 3 to 10. Get unlimited tram rides May through August, plus 10% discounts at Peaks or Pines and free parking. Palm Springs Aerial Tramway. Chill at its peak. Visit pstramway.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
We now know that Dodgers owner Mark Walter has no limits on his bank account. Walter paid $10 billion to buy the Lakers, the highest sales price in history for a U.S. sports franchise. The purchase ends a remarkable 46-year era for the Buss family. Jerry Buss bought the Lakers in 1979 for $67.5 million. The Lakers won 11 NBA championships for the Buss family. This year's NBA championship could be decided tonight. It's Game 6 of the NBA Finals in Indianapolis. With a 3-2 lead, the Oklahoma City Thunder can claim their first NBA title with a win over the Indiana Pacers. 5:30 tip-off on ABC. The Angels beat the Yankees again in New York. They hung on for a 3-2 win. They can sweep the 4-game series with a win today in New York. The Dodgers got a game-winning homer from Will Smith in the bottom of the ninth to beat San Diego 4-3. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
1 2 1 2 You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on. On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the second consecutive year with our Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is Resilience in the Face of Chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Love you. Love you.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in.
But we're okay with that.
You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
Told you Stevie's the GOAT because he has a song for every occasion. If Juneteenth in 2025 is about anything, it's about higher ground. It's about how we elevate, how we get to higher ground. And so we're continuing to play the best of Stevie Wonder as we have all 3 hours of our program today. But I hasten to get back to my panel here because I've got 3 of them and my time is getting tight on me. The great thing I was saying to Jesse during the break is that when you're talking to 3 of your colleagues, they all know how the clock works. All 3 of these Negroes know how the clock works, and so it starts getting tighter and tighter as you get close to the top of the hour. So, Adrian, we're going to do this collaboratively as we did a couple of weeks ago. So what was the question, Adrianne Shropshire, that you wanted to ask Jesse Jackson Jr.?
It really was about the attack on the Reconstruction amendments, and particularly the 14th, and the way that when we've heard, obviously, this current U.S. president talk even from his first term about, believing somehow that with the stroke of a pen, he could just get rid of the 14th Amendment. And just, what does that attack mean right now? And how do we, how should we see it and how should we understand it, given all that the 14th Amendment holds, right, inside that one single amendment in terms of rights and freedoms?
Well, let me first begin by saying that it's a real honor, Adrian, to be on the show with you today. I'm a big admirer and a big fan. Let me just share the framework again. When the Bill of Rights is added in 1791 and the 10th Amendment is added to the Constitution, those rights not specifically written in the Constitution are states' rights. And therefore, if the Constitution of the United States is silent on any subject, it's a states' rights. That's Trump's argument. That's MAGA's argument. That's Mitch McConnell's argument. That's the Supreme Court's argument. It is an old argument since the adoption of the 10th Amendment to the Constitution itself. Now, here's the problem. The slave states used the 10th Amendment and its argument to justify their right to own slaves because the Constitution of the United States was silent on the question of slavery. Mm-hmm. So, and I hope the listeners are listening to this framework very carefully, if slavery is a state's right, If slavery is a states' rights can never be human rights. They will never be in whatever form they present themselves. So to overcome states' rights, we had to amend the Constitution, specifically language that went at the 10th Amendment. No slavery, Amendment number 13. Equal protection of the laws, citizenship rights, Amendment number 14. And non-discrimination in voting for black men, the 15th Amendment to the Constitution. And Adrianne properly calls these amendments the Reconstruction Amendments. They have to be read together, however. These amendments establish the foundation for human rights when read collectively because of the history and the condition that the three amendments themselves represents. Therefore, it is impossible to imagine life in slavery. We can imagine it in 2025, in 2026, but we didn't live it. Let's be honest. We didn't live it. So we live on the other side of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, where we are towards something. We are towards equality. We are towards citizenship rights. We sue police departments. We try to make people respect us. We sue housing agencies. We sue states to do better under the Reconstruction Amendments because it has taken 160 years since those amendments to get to the America that we presently enjoy. So to Adrianne's more specific question, when you look at the citizenship rights of black people, African Americans, therefore, whatever their arguments are, cannot separate themselves from what's happening to our brown brothers and sisters with these immigration raids. Because this is an attack, as Adrianne correctly observes, an attack on the 14th Amendment citizenship rights. It's not a right that Latinos and other people have had to fight for. It's a right that we fought for. And therefore, we are at the precipice and the if you will, at the point of leadership in our community to make the constitutional argument that citizenship rights were long fought, long, hard, deserved struggles won by us to which other groups get to take advantage of. Now back to this question of state rights very quickly. Women, when we heard the court in Dobbs turn women's rights over to the states, it may not have been chattel slavery, but to return them over to different states is to create a new form of slavery for women. When we turn education over to the states by destroying the education department, we don't have a national standard. We have 50 different standards and 3,000 different county standards and 20,000 different municipal standards. When you turn, Tavis, with your brilliant climate justice conference, the environment over to the states, well, that is a guarantee that we will have a separate and unequal environmental system in the United States because African Americans established the parallel for human rights in the United States.
Nii-Quartelai, thank you, Jesse, and thank you for the question, Adrianne. Nii-Quartelai, as Jesse's talking particularly about human rights, my mind went to you. You have, throughout the course of your career, talked broadly and more specifically about any number of human rights. And I wonder, I want to give you a little canvas to paint, as you will. Here we are on Juneteenth, on the one hand, essentially celebrating our freedom. But as Jesse lays out, as Adrianne teed up quite nicely, the reality is that we got to be more sober in our thinking about the ways in which our human rights are being taken away from us. I said earlier in today's program that America is always at her best when we are expanding rights and not shrinking rights. And we are in June. So on all of our shows, we're talking about, and will be for the few weeks to come, about these Supreme Court decisions coming down. And you can rest assured that where they can, they are going to shrink our rights, our civil rights, our human rights even more. We are in contraction right now, not expansion. How do you read that, Nii-Quartelai Quartey?
Well, I don't know a black family in America that has not had the talk with their child, particularly their black male child. We have a very difficult history, and that's putting it lightly when it comes to policing in this country. I would say a very violent history, to be more on the nose, with policing in this country. And right now we're seeing an administration that is investing more in the police state. They're investing more in surveillance. They're investing more in law enforcement. Just today, USA Today reporting that President Trump is using the National Guard for deportation work. His use for the National Guard for deportation work could go into uncharted territory. Right now, as we sit here, the Pentagon is weighing a request from the Department of Homeland Security to call up 20,000 members of the National Guard under state authority for interior immigration enforcement. These troops, if approved, would be distinct from the 4,000 guardsmen currently deployed in LA under the presidential order. And so, to the point that Jesse made earlier about this tension between states' rights and the feds, right? They're looking for a cut around right now, right? And we have got to know, that having more law enforcement, more policing, more law enforcement agencies on the ground in our communities, that's not good for Black people. Yeah. That's not good for brown people. That's not good for people of conscience. Yeah. There's nothing about that should make us feel any safer. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, when it comes to these mass deportations, the fact that there have been examples of American citizens who've been deported. There have been examples that this administration has simply reduced to being an administrative error.
Yeah.
Right? How do you ship somebody to overseas somewhere as an administrative error and not look for any remedy to bring them back? Nope. You have to be forced to do that through the courts. And so I just want to make clear on this Juneteenth that our freedom is intertwined with the freedom of our brown brothers and sisters. It is intertwined with the freedom of our LGBTQ brothers and sisters, right? To Adrianne's point earlier, right? These fights do not exist in silos. These fights are intertwined. And we need to not feed the fear, as I often say, but we need to feed the imagination. We need to be more imaginative in terms of how we go about coming together and organizing and investing in solutions that offer us the kind of community and kind of nation that we all deserve.
There is a poverty of imagination in this country, to be sure, no question about that. This is the joy of my existence, being in conversation with my colleagues on this Juneteenth. More of this rich conversation when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PUSH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PUSH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PUSH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
You are indeed, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Jesse Jackson Jr., Adrianne Shropshire, and Nii-Quartelai Quartey. Again, they all know how this clock works. They host their own shows, and they understand that the time is getting tight at the top of the hour. I wonder, Adrianne, if you can say a word right quick about the State of the People tour. I know it made a stop here in L.A. It's been making stops all across the country, but I'm just thinking about, on the one hand, I used that word sobering earlier. Here we are celebrating, if you will, Juneteenth, and we're on tour right now. You guys, you and Nii-Quartelai and others, are on tour all across the country right now. That doesn't sound much to me like there's a whole lot to celebrate when you're on a State of the People tour.
Yeah, I think the tour is, was sort of conceived as an opportunity to pull together Black folks across the country, in communities, in cities across the country, to, both be there in support of one another, but also to say, what are we gonna do, right? Like we need we need actual strategy. We need actual organizations engaged who are prepared to do the organizing work, to pull folks together, to come up with a vision for what we need to be doing right now, how we need to be in right relationship with others in order to address this moment, but also to think about where are we going when we get to the other side of this moment in America's history, and we will get to the other side of it. What do we want to see? What are we fighting for on the other side of it? And so that's really the intention of the State of the People Power Tour, which is gathering in Baltimore this weekend to talk about some of the policies that we may not be able to get to right now, but ultimately we will need to be able to get to those things, and to make sure that, again, that we are building community together as we, struggle through this particular moment. So the LA stop, I think, was great and important for a whole host of reasons, not just because it was a moment where national, voices came to LA, but because it really sparked an opportunity for Black LA, for Black groups in Los Angeles to really think about what are we doing here collectively in the city, and obviously came at a moment where the city was under attack, right? And so for us to be in conversation with one another about what the plan is, what the path is, and what the strategy is just critically important. That we're not just being reactive, but we're actually thinking through. We understand what long haul struggle looks like. And we are in that moment where we need to sometimes take a step back and get ourselves together before we just jump out.
I want to ask as the exit question when we come forward in our remaining moments with Adrianne and Nii-Quartelai and Jesse, how we survive this moment. I mentioned earlier I did an hour on C-SPAN this morning, promoting this conversation on C-SPAN tonight that we recorded here in LA yesterday. It's tonight at 8 o'clock. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, a 2 or 3 hour conversation about climate justice and Black health. But somebody made the point last night, I think it was Ben Jealous, Jesse, who said that if we survive Woodrow Wilson, we can survive this. And we had dinner last night and tried to unpack that statement. And maybe Ben was stretching out a little too much. This is, again, as I said earlier, a grim moment. We're wrestling right now with the night side of America. And the question is for Black people, even as we celebrate Juneteenth, how are we going to survive this particular moment of American history? That's our exit question for our 3 guests when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet,
especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
See website for details. Bills Happen is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Hey, bills happen. So when you need extra cash fast, go to billshappen.com. Have you been turned down? Are your credit cards maxed out? Do you have bad credit? Go to billshappen.com. All you need is a job and a checking account. You can find a lender and get up to $5,000 cash as early as tomorrow at billshappen.com. Billshappen.com is the smart way to get a personal lender now. So if you need extra money for car repairs, medical bills, family emergencies, whatever you need cash for, go to billshappen.com and you can get the money you need as soon as the next day, up to $5,000. At billshappen.com, our process is safe, secure, and all online. No one to deal with in person. And Bills Happen does not charge you any fees to use our service. It's easy. When you need a lender, just remember, when bills happen, go to billshappen.com. billshappen.com for the cash you need now. billshappen.com.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
I tell you, they're all talk show hosts. They all have questions for each other. I'm going to let Nii-Quartelai have his last word in a moment, but Jesse has a question for Adrian.
Adrian, listen, all of our major organizations were founded in the century before last. Have we ever seen a century that is beginning like this one? And what does an organization to confront the present age actually look like?
Wow, that's a big question. I don't think so. I mean, I'm always struck by the waves of chaos that we have had over the last decade. When I think about my kids all the time, right? And they're just in their early 20s. And it seems like every year there's some major something, right? Whether it's political or whether it's a pandemic or whatever it is, that sort of upends, that exposes the weaknesses of our institutions and our democracy. I think that, there are all kinds of organizations within the Black community. We have the sort of legacy organizations. There are grassroots organizations. There are advocacy and service organizations. To my mind, how we make it through this moment is all of those different institutions need to figure out how they are working in cooperation with one another for the betterment of our community. And that means getting rid of old beefs that have been there since before any of us were alive, and figuring out how we are working with our people to move forward through this moment.
Got a tight minute, Nii-Quartelai Quartey. What say you about how we survive this moment even as we celebrate Juneteenth? And what role does the Black media play in our survival?
We survive together in community. Look, we have many dark days ahead, but we can get to the other side of that in community. When we look at the history of the Green Book, of the Harlem Renaissance, of the Montgomery bus boycott, of the anti-apartheid movement, we know that community can and does and will make a difference. We know that an independent press is a critical part of that, particularly the Black press. And so supporting outlets like WVON and KBLA and too many more to name, putting our asset lenses on, getting rid of that deficit thinking that gets in the way. And I'll end with this. That scene from Black Panther, that Ryan Coogler movie that we love so much, when T'Challa's getting his butt whooped, what does the Queen Mother yell out? She yells out, "Remember who you are." I would add, remember whose you are as well. Together we can do it.
Got 45 seconds. Jesse Jackson Jr., if your father were here, he'd say keep hope alive. The question is, how in a moment like this, even as we celebrate Juneteenth, do we keep hope alive?
You're going to give me 35 seconds?
Yeah, that's all you got, Negro. 35 seconds. Take it or leave it.
It's going to be a function of our faith. It's going to be a function of our overcoming many of the differences that Adrianne suggested we need to overcome. It's going to require the kind of outreach that Nii spoke about in this hour-long program. It's going to take KBLA on your 4th anniversary to have an 8th anniversary, a 16th, a 32nd. We need a central location where we hear the truth and solid news. And that's you, Tavis Smiley. Congratulations to you on your 4th anniversary.
See how smooth he is? And did it in less than 35 seconds. That's why I love me some Jesse Jackson Jr. And I love Nii-Quartelai Quartey. And I love Adrianne Shropshire. I love my entire team. I love all of my colleagues. I love that this is Juneteenth and that we're celebrating this great holiday, but also that we're celebrating the 4th anniversary of my home station in L.A. And I could not be more grateful for all the people who've made this 4-year journey possible. And to Jesse's point, from his mouth to God's ears, hopefully many more years to come. Thank you, Adrianne. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Nii-Quartelai. Just like that, 3 hours are gone. Tomorrow is Friday, so tomorrow is the best of Tavis Smiley. Going to be a hard time this week trying to figure out how to pick 3 great hours from this week, but we'll figure it out. Tune in tomorrow to the best of Tavis Smiley. Check out C-SPAN tonight, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Until tonight on C-SPAN, I'm Tavis Smiley, and keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with BIN News Now. In the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial, court is dark for the Juneteenth holiday, so the trial will resume on Friday when former Diddy personal assistant